When rescue teams finally found her, she wasn't in the woods. She wasn't hiding. She was locked inside something no one thought to check, something that had been sitting there in plain sight every single day. And the strangest part, the person who found her wasn't a cop, or a teacher, or even someone who knew her. It was a stranger, a man who said he just had a feeling. This is the story of how one girl's disappearance exposed a chain of failures, ignored warnings, and a terrifying secret buried in a quiet Oregon town. And how a complete stranger acting on nothing but instinct saved her life. If this story shook you, make sure to subscribe to Cold Case Secrets, where we uncover the truth behind the world's darkest mysteries. Marietta, Oregon, sits nestled between the Cascade foothills and endless pine forests, a place where rain falls like a soft whisper and secrets never seem to wash away. It's the kind of town where everyone knows everyone. The high school football team still draws half the town on Friday nights, and most families have lived there for generations. That's where 14-year-old Alyssa Harding lived as a quiet, soft-spoken freshman at Marietta High. Alyssa was the kind of kid teachers loved to describe as shy but bright. She loved drawing, had a cat named Clover, and dreamed of becoming a wildlife photographer. But in the fall of 2017, things started to change. Teachers noticed she was showing up late, sometimes with bruises she brushed off as clumsy accidents. Her once vivid sketches grew darker, rain-soaked trees, faceless figures, broken windows. One teacher, Ms. Leland, even filed a report with the school counselor after Alyssa turned in an essay about a shadow that followed her home. But the school decided there wasn't enough evidence to investigate further. "She's just imaginative," the counselor reportedly said. And like that, the first warning was ignored. By November, Alyssa stopped sitting with friends at lunch. She'd stay behind in the art room, headphones in, sketching quietly until the bell rang. And then, one cold Tuesday morning, she didn't show up to school at all. November 14th, 2017. It was supposed to be a normal day. Alyssa's mother, Karen Harding, left early for her shift at the diner. Her daughter was responsible enough to catch the bus alone. She'd done it hundreds of times. But that morning, the yellow school bus passed their driveway, and the front porch was empty. Karen figured Alyssa had walked to school early. But when she got home that afternoon and found her daughter's backpack still by the couch, the panic set in. By 6 p.m., police were called. By 8 p.m., search teams were combing the woods behind their home. The town of Marietta mobilized fast volunteers, drones, and even neighboring departments joined in. The story hit local news that night: 14-year-old Marietta girl missing. But what investigators didn't know was that this wasn't the first sign of danger. In the days before she vanished, multiple classmates said Alyssa had seemed terrified of someone, a man she claimed kept showing up near her bus stop. Several students told a teacher about it. That teacher emailed the school counselor. The counselor never responded. That email would later become one of the most haunting missed chances in Oregon's history. The first 48 hours are the most crucial in a missing persons case. For Alyssa, they were nearly wasted. Police initially suspected she'd run away, teenage stress, maybe family trouble. But her friends and mother insisted Alyssa wasn't the kind of girl to disappear. As the search expanded, strange details began to surface. A gas station camera half a mile from her home captured a blurry figure walking along Route 9 around 7:45 a.m. A girl with a backpack matching Alyssa's. In the corner of the frame, a dark blue pickup truck slowed down near her. Investigators tried to enhance the footage but couldn't make out the license plate. Days passed. The school held assemblies, vigils, but no answers came. Then came the first real break from someone who didn't even know her. His name was Daniel Moore, a 42-year-old delivery driver for a local supply company. He often took the back roads between Marietta and a nearby town called Dunley. On November 17th, while driving past the old lumber mill, a site abandoned since the 1980s, he noticed something strange, a faint flicker of light through the fog, like someone using a flashlight. He slowed down. For a second, he swore he heard something, a scream, maybe, or a voice calling. But by the time he stopped and rolled down his window, there was only silence. Still, something about it gnawed at him. He called the sheriff's office that night to report it, but was told patrols had already searched that area. They hadn't found anything. 2 days later, he passed the same road again and saw the same flicker of light. That's when Daniel decided to go look for himself. It was late afternoon, the sky a heavy gray. Daniel parked his truck at the edge of the property and walked through the overgrown path leading to the lumber mill. The place was a ghost of itself. Broken windows, rusted metal, graffiti everywhere. And then he saw it, a small, flashing reflection near one of the old storage sheds. When he approached, he realized that it was a compact mirror lying in the mud, reflecting sunlight through a narrow slit in the shed's wall. He called out. No answer. He took a few steps closer, then heard a faint sound, like a muffled cry. Daniel forced the old door open. The hinges groaned. Inside, it was pitch black except for that beam of light. Then his flashlight landed on something that froze him in place. A blanket. A small, dirt-covered shoe. And beneath it movement. It was Alyssa. She was alive. Weak, terrified, dehydrated but alive. She'd been locked inside that shed for nearly 4 days. Daniel immediately called 911. The recording of his call would later become public, and you can hear his voice trembling as he says, "I found her. Oh my God, I found the girl." When paramedics arrived, they found her sitting on the ground, clutching that broken mirror, the same one she'd used to flash light through the wall, hoping someone would see. At first, everyone called Daniel a hero. And he was. But as Alyssa began to recover, investigators started asking questions about how she ended up there in the first place. She told detectives she'd been grabbed near the bus stop by a man in a blue pickup truck, the same one from the surveillance footage. He'd told her not to scream, that no one would believe her anyway. He'd kept her in the shed, bringing her scraps of food once a day. But on the third night, she said she heard another voice, someone arguing with him outside. Then he left. He never came back. Detectives searched for that blue truck for weeks, but there was no trace. Until a chilling discovery. The truck was found abandoned at a rest stop 20 miles away. Inside was a Marietta High School visitor's badge dated 3 days before Alyssa's disappearance. The name on it was Stephen Gant, a 29-year-old maintenance worker who'd been hired for short-term electrical repairs. Background checks later revealed multiple prior complaints for harassment at previous schools. But here's where things got darker. None of those reports had ever been forwarded to the district. They'd been quietly dropped. And when Marietta High had hired him, no one bothered to check. The warning signs had been ignored again. The town of Marietta was outraged. Parents demanded answers. The superintendent resigned. 2 staff members were placed on administrative leave. Alyssa's story made national headlines, the girl saved by a stranger. But behind the praise, Daniel Moore couldn't shake a question that haunted him. Because when he'd first entered that shed, he'd seen 2 sets of footprints in the mud. One small, one large. But outside only one set led away. That meant whoever had taken Alyssa hadn't left alone. Someone else had been there. And according to Daniel, as he helped her out of that shed, Alyssa had whispered something barely audible, something investigators later confirmed she'd repeated in interviews. He said, "I wasn't the only one." Months passed. Alyssa recovered slowly. She never returned to Marietta High. Her family moved to another town, away from the headlines and the memories. Daniel was given a commendation by the county sheriff for his extraordinary bravery and intuition. But he never gave interviews. Locals said he'd become reclusive, still driving his route, still glancing down that same old road. Police eventually found evidence that Stephen Gant had used several aliases. His last known whereabouts placed him near the Washington border. Then, nothing. The trail went cold. But the deeper investigators looked, the more they realized something chilling. There were other missing person reports along that same route. All young girls. All within 10 miles of each other. One officer described it as a pattern hiding in plain sight. And the one person who'd seen it before anyone else? A 14-year-old girl whose cries had been ignored. In late 2019, nearly 2 years after Alyssa's rescue, Daniel Moore got an anonymous letter. No return address. Just 6 words written in black ink. "You found one. Can you find her?" Inside the envelope was a photo, old, grainy, and clearly taken from a distance. It showed another girl, standing near a school bus stop, wearing the same kind of red jacket Alyssa had worn the day she vanished. And on the back of the photo, the same words Alyssa had once written in her sketchbook. The shadow followed me home. What Daniel did next would lead to another disappearance and another horrifying discovery beneath the forests of Marietta, Oregon. To be continued in Part 2. If this story shook you, make sure to subscribe to Cold Case Secrets, where we uncover the truth behind the world's darkest mysteries. Thank you for watching Cold Case Secrets.